that was kind. I usually hear my resume, not something so emotional, before I start to speak. So give me a breath. I'm very blessed to be in a community as wonderful as this one of stages, but the larger Houston community. And I'm really excited today to kind of dig into this idea of creativity, of shock. I'll confess that my original idea was to take all my clothes off right now, I swear to you. It was my original idea. But I was convinced that wouldn't shock anyone, frankly, and so I backed off of that. I thought I'll go in a different direction. But I really thought about, what does it really mean to me? What does shock really mean to me? And how does it connect to what I do every day? And so that's kind of the path I'm going to take a little bit here. When I was at Great Lakes Theater Festival, which Lisa referenced, I was the director of education, and I would come out in front of the curtain every student matinee. We were a classic theater company, producing primarily Shakespeare, but if not Shakespeare, then some obscure classics. So we had student matinees for all of those things, and one would assume that this was a distant prospect for kids 14 years old to come see a huge professional Shakespeare production. But I would come out before the curtain and I would say this. I would say, what is the incredible thing about live theater is just that. It's live, which means that what's going to happen right now is only going to happen this one way, this one time, because you came. And that's exactly how I feel about this moment for us today, too. I mean, it is, I'm going to do a little theater, do a little improvisation. Some of it's planned, some of it is not planned, and it's really for, about, and through you that it exists, and that through our communication together. So I love to celebrate that. That's why I'm in the theater after all these years, because it is about us, and it's about what happens when we communicate together, when we open up our minds together, and we actually go on a journey to think about different ideas. So I'm going to start with the word shock. I want you to put in your minds an image of that word, okay? So I say the word shock, put an image in your head. What is it? What is it? Somebody share some of that. What's the image of shock for you?
Psycho clown.
Psycho clown. Yeah, it's good for Halloween season, yes. But psycho clown. Shock.
Electricity.
Aliens? What? Electricity. More. Image. Shock.
Walking in on my parents when I was a kid.
Wait, what?
Walking in on my parents.
Walking out on his parents when he was a kid. Shock. What? I heard something else over here. Honesty. Shock. The actual, so put that image in your head, this image, get it in your head. Actual word, the derivation of the word, where it always comes from, actually comes from a period in history that I learned about called the Anglo-French Wars. Comes from a period in all warring in the world. They're all identified, these periods of wars in the world. There was a period between 1494 and 1798 called the Pike and Shot. That was the Pike and Shot era of warring worldwide. And this term shows up in 1555 in Belgium. And it means to jolt or shove in battle. So if it means in 1555 in the Pike and Shot era to jolt and shove in battle, what image does that put in your mind? I say it? I'm sorry, King. Conclaves, yes. What else? Syrian refugees. That puts a modern image in your mind. Battle image, yep. What else? Armor. To jolt and shove in battle in the Pike and Shot era. To me, all of these things are right. All of these things, these battle images. Okay, so you have this set of images in a modern context. You have this set of images that come from the actual derivation, the meaning of the word. People on horse. I get this image of people on horses. It had to be knocking someone off a horse. Knocking someone off of their motion. To shock them, to stop them, to whatever, to jolt them. But we have a distance between the actual origin of the word and the way in which we interpret the word, the way in which we know the word today. The distance, perhaps, between meaning and understanding, how we receive something. And I am fascinated with that space. I'm fascinated with that space. Now, that space is made up, we interpret things based on our education, our history, our class, who taught us, education, all of that, make up the way in which we receive data, right? Every one of us receives it differently. Those images come into us and move through us in a different way. It's communal when we're together thinking about it. And that's, to me, what theater is. It is a community of people opening up their minds and hearts to a set and series of ideas and images that are coming at them. But everyone's getting them in a different way, okay? So you have meaning and you have understanding. And I like to think about it this way. There's a space between those. There's a space out there where there's a lot of energy, and that's where I live. That's where, to me, the theater lives. It lives between that place of what I am trying to communicate, what it means, and what you are getting. And in that space is where all creativity, from my point of view, lives, how we dance between those things, how we learn to come to a deeper communal understanding in the space between meaning and understanding. There are artists who believe that put it up, I don't give a shit what you think about it. It's art. Do whatever you want. The definition of that does not work for me. I don't understand that. I think the reason that I connect so deeply with this organization is because I am really concerned with that space between what I'm doing and what you're thinking. I really want to know what's happening in there and what's going on in that space. That's why a show like Honky Tonk Angels, a jukebox musical, is just as interesting to me as Chad Deity, a crazy political play about with wrestling, because what happens in that space is just different. And there's different energy, and there's different joy and terror and excitement in that space between what we're doing and what you're getting. And I love that. I love being in that space. So theater artists have to deal with that from my point of view. They have to deal with the clarity of communication in that space. And I believe if they do it right, they shock you every time. They jolt you out of the conventional every time because they force you out of your own singular way of thinking and put you into a communal way of thinking. That's the real power of really great theater. That's what we seek to do, to take a singular understanding and explode it into communal experience. And then hopefully we can talk about it. It doesn't mean we lose our individual experience. It doesn't mean we actually lose anything. It means, in fact, we become more powerful because of a collective thought, collective thinking, collective ideas. That's the high-end stuff in my head about this whole thing. What does it really mean on a street level? Let's play with that. I need 2 volunteers. 2 very brave. One, look at the hand go up. Courage. Courage. Another volunteer, another volunteer, another volunteer, another volunteer. Ah, yes, up we go. All right. And your name is?
Ben.
Ben, I'm Ken.
Abby.
Abby, nice to meet you. Now, I said I wasn't going to take my clothes off, but... Just kidding. All right. Ben and Abby, I want you guys to make up a relationship that the 2 of them share. Make it up.
Brother and sister.
Brother and sister. All right. Here are, meet your brother, Ben, Abby, brother and sister. Okay? Here's what's going to happen, brother and sister, and here's what we are looking at. Okay? We are looking at the essence, the core essence of theater, which is storytelling, and we're going to look at the core element of that in this little exercise. Okay, so Ben and Abby are brother and sister. Here's the deal with the 2 of you, okay? Something has occurred between the 2 of you. Something, an event, whatever, has occurred between the 2 of you, okay? Whatever that event was, it has created some problem for the 2 of you, okay? You are going to go off and discuss that. You're going to figure that out on your own. But before you do that, here's what happens. Here's how the exercise works. Once you figure that out, once you decide what this event was that has created an issue between the 2 of you, then you're going to come back. One of you, Abby, you're going to go over on this side up here, okay? Ben, you're going to be on that side. You're going to walk toward one another. You're going to deal with one another somehow. And then you're going to walk around each other and away. That's all you're going to do No dialogue, none. Okay? That's it. So you guys go off over there. I'll go over there. There's fewer people to hear you. Figure out what the problem was, and then we'll be back. That's all you have to do. Everybody else, audience, right now, your job is simply to receive the data that's coming at you. Receive the data that's coming at you. See how the data that is coming at you influences your understanding of the situation. Okay? That's all you need to do. Open up. Let's see how complicated this gets. Looks like it's going to be complicated. All right. Ben,
No dialogue, right?
no dialogue. Walk toward each other, have a moment with each other, and then walk past each other to the other side. All right? So yeah, start right there, Abby. Ben, start right there. When I say go, all right, everybody's open up, and go. All right, let's give it up for Ben and yes. All right, stay up there, you guys. All right. So, what's the story?
It's about mom. What you do with mom.
Should they put her in the nursing home or keep her out? It's all about mom, says Nancy Wozniak. What else? And what else? What else do people receive?
He messed up in a relationship. He's like, I don't know what to do with you.
He messed up. Did it appear to be the first time he messed up, or? Okay. Ben seems to be a ne'er-do-well, according to this crowd. Okay, and Abby seems to be the voice of reason in this thing. What else? What else you got? Yes.
Miscommunication through text.
Miscommunication through text. The text was an important part of the storytelling. Okay? Anything else?
An embarrassing post.
An embarrassing post. So the text focused in.
I was going that way too, where Ben got mom on Facebook and she posted baby pictures or something.
Ben got mom on Facebook. She posted baby pictures. There was a murder. And then, yes.
He wants her help with something, and she's like, no, I'm staying out of it. She's not going to get involved.
She's, okay. Help. She's staying out of it. Yeah.
I feel like he farted.
And her response was? Cutting to the chase.
He was supposed to get the Uber, but his phone was dead, and now they're stuck outside.
That sounds personal.
He's an aspiring iPhone photographer.
And his picture?
Not very good.
All right. Awesome. So we have an issue, okay? I can't produce this play because no one can decide what this play is about, okay? No one knows what this play is about, so I need to figure some things out before I decide to produce this play, okay? What do I need to give this play focus? Information. Who in the theater gives the most information?
Playwright.
Yes, thank you. Awesome. The playwright. To me, and I love it, worked out. It worked out perfectly for me right now. To me, the playwright is the core artist of the theater. They are the person putting on the page the ideas that they wish to explore and send into the world. I believe in honoring the playwright 1,000,000,000 times 1,000,000,000. That's why I do what I do, because I care about finding people a whole range of people who are in the world trying to say something about the way the world is working right now. So the playwright, core person who is giving identity to the story. So I need a playwright in this room, someone who wants to help craft this play. Raise your hand. Abby's a playwright. Oh, perfect. I love when it works that way. All right, Abby. Oh, that's why it was so complicated at the beginning. Abby, give us, and this is great because you can work with Ben. each of you gets a line of dialogue, one line of dialogue, that you think will clarify all the data we're getting. So you can confer with Ben for just a moment on that, and I will work with them. Or Abby, if you want to do 2 each, that's fine.
2 each?
Okay. All right. So Abby's going to come back, and this is going to be one of those prize-nominated plays. I can feel it. So I really want to produce it well. So what else do I need to be able to do that work? The director. This group is really savvy because you're going in the perfect order. Okay, what I like to do is pick the play. I pick the plays for myself personally. The question I get asked the most is how do I do that? It's a very hard question for me to answer. It's a very visceral feeling response. I try to think about where we are as a country, where we are as a community. I care about what Houston cares about, which is different. I just actually came back from Germany seeing a magnificent world premiere of a German play. Stunning. You know, this playwright is the hottest playwright in Germany right now. And I loved it, but I thought, it's not our experience in Houston right now. We're not really thinking, we're not talking about those things. The anxieties in Houston right now have to do with what's going on with oil prices, and which is an economic family story, you know, I mean, like all these kinds of questions. So I try and figure out as best I can what's interesting to the Houston audience, what matters to them, what will challenge our minds the most and our hearts. And then once I have that, or once I find the ones I like or think work at this moment, then I go for the director that I think, oh, this material makes sense for this director. Okay, this director loves to tell stories about technology and mothers. You know? So I look for that director. Let's look at what we have, and then we'll pick a director. So here comes the scene with dialogue. We're going to look at the play now.
Mom called. I thought you were picking her up.
I thought you were picking her up.
Awesome. It's all about the mother. Awesome. All right. So that's the story we have. A brother and a sister, a sense of confusion between them, the mother left stranded. Now this can go in many different directions, okay? Director. Someone be the director. It's a really simple job, I promise. Not in the real world, but in this world it is. All right, you can stay right there, director. You can stay right there. Okay. So director, one thing, Abby, I need answered from you. In the larger play, is this play a comedy, a drama, surreal? What kind of play? We would usually get more data if we had more play, but with this section, it could be.
It's a dark comedy.
A dark comedy. It is a dark comedy. So I'm assuming that what happens is mom gets kidnapped because she was left behind. That's probably what happens next then in a dark comedy. All right, so tell me your name again.
My name's Bree.
Bree. Okay, so Bree, you are the director of a dark comedy. You have to assemble a team, and I will also help you as the artistic director assemble a team of designers who are going to make this work. So who do you need to really bring the story to life?
I need a light designer.
Light designer. Give me a light designer. Raise your hand. All right, here's our light designer. All right.
A set designer.
Set designer. Set designer. Set designer. Set designer. Right there. Okay.
Costume designer.
Clothing. Costume. Clothing. Right here. Yep.
Props.
Props. Right there. A stage. This is very high level. Stage manager. I've never had a stage manager in this exercise before. That's interesting. And there's one missing. You have the actors.
Yeah.
We have the play. Sound. Well, yeah, it's interesting. It's a really good question. Makeup and hair in our world, at the scope of stages, is folded into clothing and costumes, which is not the best situation that you can have because it really is a different design element. But it's a scaling thing in terms of the scope of your theater usually. But let's have makeup in here. Let's be a very resourceful theater and have makeup in here. After you all see Chad Deity, we'll have those resources so we can add makeup in here. All right, perfect. Okay, great. So, really quick, set. What's the set look like?
It's there's a
park with a park bench.
Park and a park bench. We have a park and a park. Now you have to use your imagination a little bit. Park and a park bench. Props. What objects do they have? He's got his phone. What kind of phone? I'm sorry, again? Smartphone. Phones. Objects tell you a lot about class and power. So it's really, specificity in an object is really important because it tells you a lot about the story. Okay, so he's got an iPhone. We have a park bench. Sound designer. What kind of sounds do we have? Birds. Okay. Where's birds and kids playing? Okay. So I'm going to need people to do that. The stage manager is going to cue you, and we need birds and kids playing. Okay. So who's going to be the birds? Birds. Kathy's going to be the birds, and I need kids playing. All right, kids playing. Okay, birds and kids playing. Stage manager, you'll point at them when it's time. Oh, there's one back here. Perfect. Who am I? Oh, light designer. Light designer. Where's my light designer?
Right here.
Okay, light designer. What do you want it to look like?
It's sunset with 10 minutes left of light.
Sunset. Well, so what color is that?
Like orangey, purple.
Orangey purple, please. And let's kill the house lights. Let's get a little bit of a light sign. Do we need a little more light here, or you like this quality? Oh, like the bench. Okay, we've abstracted into German expressionism all of a sudden. Okay, now it's a funky park. What did you want, designer? Do you want a little more light on the bench, or are we good?
I think we're good on it.
Okay, so we're in this light. We're gonna have our birds in it. Did I miss anything? We have our sound. Stage manager's gonna point to sound that when the sound is. Costumes, clothing. What are they wearing?
Like monochromatic, very simple, grays and black.
Grays and blacks, monochromatic, very simple. Time of year?
Fall, I think it's
Fall. Okay, so we put it in the fall. We have some fall colors. Again, clothing gives us time and place in very subtle signals. Okay, so now let's look at our play. Stage manager, you're gonna call out sound go. Wait, and you're gonna call actors go. Okay, so you're gonna send everything in motion when we are ready. Whenever you're ready, stage manager.
Sound go. No actor. Actors go.
Mom called. Thought you were gonna pick her up.
I thought you were gonna pick her up.
Lights up. Yes, a bow is a very important thing. Let's take a bow. Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Awesome. Yes, okay? So this thing that we're dealing with, this distance between what something means and how we understand it, those are the tools that we play with here in the theater. Those are some of the tools. You had this wonderful moment that Ben did where he was like, oh. That would come up at rehearsal, right? And the director would say, oh, I love that, do that. Or the director would say, oh, God, that's awful. That makes your character like a dick, so let's take it out, okay? Unless your character's a dick, in which case that makes a lot of sense, right? So I mean, it's all this kind of living, breathing human process to bring together this level of clarity about meaning and impact. Okay? Now, in this level, as you just experienced it, now what does the play mean to you? What's the play about? Relationships. Family. Communication. I mean, I would produce that play because that's something that, again, back to my core theme, that it all comes together in a certain way, right? We all know what that is. We all have miscommunicated. We all have families one way or another, and we all have made mistakes in those situations. So that's our way in. But all of us have responded differently, culturally differently, or in human ways different because of our wiring to that situation. So to me, the exciting thing is, how does that all come together? However, if we only stay in our single box, if we only see it a certain way, if we only interpret it a certain way, if we only hear that singular interpretation, then it really becomes a challenge for us to experience the fullness of theater. That is one of my greatest challenges in life, is to try and see theater. Here's what I use. I use the word innocent, to see theater as an innocent, to come through the door every single time with the thrill that what can happen to you can change your life. It might not, but it could. And that's really exciting to me. And to not put judges or blinders on, to simply receive what's coming at you with a full heart. That's how theater works best, in my estimation. So, is any of this shocking? I think so, personally. Because I personally think if you actually ask yourself to change the way you look at the world every day, that's shocking. It's not about someone pushing you off a horse. It's about looking inside yourself and changing your perspective. Changing the way in which you move through a day. And ultimately, all of us, every one of us, is a storyteller. We tell a narrative every single day. We stand in light so we can see. We wear clothes that communicate ideas about ourselves. We make choices every moment of our lives to put a narrative together that puts us into the world. So, how do we shake and use our narrative to our advantage? How do we shock with our narrative? How do we connect with our narrative? These are the big questions. These are the core universal questions about the theater and about this idea, from my point of view. So I did my time perfect. Yay. Thank you all so much.